What is good, everyone? We're back at the All Facts podcast here. I'm your host, Haris Vikar, and we are back with another episode on the future where I call people that in certain industries and where we like discuss about emerging technologies and how it impacts their vision of the future and what the future of a whole will take. So here I have my friend Mark Morreale, and he is a managing director at Astrakode, I believe, and he's a really great blockchain enthusiast, and he's also a diehard Buffalo Bills fan.
Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to say that. Right now, fortunately.
Well, yeah, it's good to have you as a guest here, Mark. You care to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, Mark Morreale, epidemiologist by training, came about blockchain through a career in AI and also through an interest in wanting to become more connected with global industries in Italy and Europe.
Was it based off your Italian heritage that you kind of got inspired to do this?
Yes and no. Certainly, I had spent about a good 15, 20 years in AI, helping people adopt AI and organizations, mostly in healthcare and in education. And, became my own consultant again in 2023. And it was at the Collision Conference. And, we were talking about adoption of software with an Italian blockchain company at their booth. And they said, look, we need help with people adopting blockchain. And, we'd really like you to be part of our company. And that's where it went from there. I certainly have an Italian background and was able to speak to them a little bit in Italian and help them find a good Italian restaurant in Toronto because they're very fussy about their food. And, it was important to them.
Yes.
So that helped out a little bit. But certainly my background in helping people adopt software was really kind of important.
What was your biggest takeaway from Collision?
The energy, it's great. I had been working in the startup sector for about 8 years, but the company I worked for would never let me go to Collision. So I was really excited to go. It is very, very AI heavy, given the fact that it's
Mm.
in Toronto. But just love the energy. I hear it's going to Vancouver next year, so that'll be an interesting change of venue, change of pace. See what happens and how what new things are injected into the conference. I'm glad it stayed in Canada, and I
Yes.
think Vancouver's a good spot. It should be able to, maybe bring some of that Northern California feel to the conference a little bit too. Hopefully.
Especially, yeah, since they share the same time zone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just a few hours, not
Was there,
45-minute flight.
I'm glad that you probably had a great time connecting with probably other people that were also working similar in the field as you. And yeah, I would agree with you in the sense where Collision was great energy. And although do recall you were mainly at your booth, I was around looking at the startups, seeing some of the
Mhm.
talks. The talks, the talks were great. It's just kind of
Yeah.
cliche, but you kind of hear the same things over and
I'm
over
not a
again.
huge fan of
The
the talks.
startups,
The
yeah,
talks for me
I remember
are
you from you
noisy.
telling me this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's very personality based. And there's no way to really interact with them because they're so scripted. However, it does bring personalities to the conference and people to go see. So they're important
Yes.
and I see their value. But in terms of you as a startup, they're very limited in their value for
100%.
you. This was my second year this year at Collision. First year, I was able to just walk around and do anything, and that's how actually I
Mhm.
met Astrakode. So I was able to really, really. I almost went to every booth, every day. Like I certainly, wanted to do that. And again, because I do feel that a lot of companies don't know how to adopt AI. Even the one I'm working for right now, it's going through growth pains around that and trying to integrate a generative AI into the creation of a blockchain network, which can be very complex and things like that. So it's out there and it's really needed, but also blockchain it's coming fast and hard via regulation. I think that's one of the reasons why no one really wants to do it. They're like, oh, I'll do it when I have
Mhm.
to, but uh, at the same time, it can present a lot of value for you, just like we were experiencing in AI about 10 years ago. People were like, this AI, what are we going to do? I'm getting that same sense of history is rhyming, with the past, and that with blockchain, and that an incredibly powerful technology that people should use, especially around transaction, documentation, your identity, and also if you want to keep your own data. I'm not even talking about the
100%.
crypto side of things, right? More focus for Astrakode is on enterprise and this kind of thing. And so I think that digital asset custody will become an extremely important, I think, for the younger set. And for me, I'm frustrated with knowing that Google and Microsoft and all these companies have been able to profit on my data for decades, particularly Google. Like GPT would be nothing without Gmail. Like, you guys don't understand that, right? Like,
Yeah,
Google was right behind GPT, and I'm sure they utilized all that Gmail data that we just clicked through, that click-through agreement, and they utilized it to improve their NLP and then take their next stages on a variety of things. So that's what people don't realize, and blockchain can really help, create where some sort of transaction on our data can occur, where we get some money or get some value back in return. Google gives you some value, like you get free stuff, but they're making trillions. So
yes.
where's our piece in that? And then also be able to govern how you utilize it and when. You don't want it to be used for porn. You don't want it to be used for religious reasons. And so the blockchain
But
in
you
your
don't want
data,
it to be used for religious reasons. Okay.
or vice versa, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are, yeah, particularly when you're dealing with any type of fundamentalist religion, whether it be, you know, whatever spectrum you're on there. We're seeing that in so many ways right now with Ukraine and Israel for sure. But these kinds of things, it gives that agency to a person. And so I think once people can latch onto that, I do think that'll help with the adoption of it. But I do agree, like right now, it's governments that are leading the way, right? Like in Europe, the European Union is pushing all industries to utilize blockchain for circular economy, auditing of various supply chain events and things like that. So they're reluctantly moving along, and so they're like a
Hmm.
teenager you're trying to get out of her bedroom. Right now the European Union is just yelling at them, and the worst, the kids just saying, "Yeah, I'll be there in a minute." So I think that's where we are right now with the industry on the enterprise side. On the crypto side, it's
Yes.
insane. Like, consensus will just, like, that conference will just show you the amount of insanity in so many ways that's going on right
Well,
there.
if
It's
you were
pretty
to look
exciting.
at the, yeah, sorry. Well, if you were to look at the history of blockchain, that is where you kind of see it was kind of tailored towards the crypto and DeFi sector. That's why
Well,
you can probably
I,
see more advancements in those, right?
well, it's definitely optimized around transaction and
Yes,
documentation.
transaction based. Yes.
It's so, when you think, we have to talk to industries who are interested in adopting this in that value, in that vein. So a lot of things can be formatted into a transaction. So, for example, a large scale transportation company, is collecting lots of data on something. How do they, on supply chain, how do we utilize that and all the transactions that are going on there? So, that each of us get our own verifiable electronic receipt that we can make cold,
Yes.
we can keep it in the cloud, all these kinds of things that, companies just aren't thinking about it. Like, someone said that I was at a hackathon, and someone said, he was older, he was even older than me. And he
Hmm.
said, I feel like I'm in 1996 and I'm talking about web pages. You know,
Really?
yeah, he said, back then, trying to sell people what a web page was, they'd be like, well, I got my brochure, I don't need it. what's going on, and there was all this activity on the underneath, i.e. crypto, that was around, exchanging of information on the internet, whether it be the military or at that time that's who was using the internet a lot, these kinds of things. So I think it's another rhyme here, and we have to find our catalytic event or catalytic personality or catalytic company that'll just take us over. Hey, these guys can make a shitload money, pardon the
Yes.
language. Like I want that. And then becomes like, the Life cereal commercial. Hey, he likes it. I want that. I want Life cereal. These kinds of situations. So we
Hmm.
just, we're trying to be part of that Astrakode for sure. You
So
know.
that is generally what Astrocode is specializes in terms they're trying to
Yeah,
make sure companies
yeah.
actually get their at least the initial stages of their blockchain.
Well, we're all about people adopting blockchain, and we're here to help you
Yes.
out with, so we have two things, two very valuable components. First and foremost is the people. We're a spinoff of a larger consulting firm in Italy so we have, a real good understanding of complexity of software. That's important in building applications. We're not just a bunch of youngsters, who've been day trading and then, spun this off. No, this is a mature organization that is, trying to seize the value and has created blockchain. So we have people, we have, about between 25 to 30
Hmm.
developers in blockchain, depending on the day. People move around, and then we also have this awesome platform, which allows you as a developer, as a company, create a blockchain application really quickly without coding. And so that's really key. So I believe that the future of, and you're seeing this already, but the future is
Yes.
platform, whether it be on AI or blockchain or both. I think you're going to see that they're going to combine and there's going to be a convergence. They're already talking about that constantly. But it's not what you code in. It's not Solidity. It's not Hyperledger. It's the platform that you code on. It's really important. And so
Hmm.
Astrakode presents, I think, the leading platform. It's going to be integrating AI very shortly so that you'll be able to literally converse with it. And then it will produce your blockchain application, which you can download, host, all these kinds of things from there. So I think that's really important. You can use Solidity and you can use Hyperledger Fabric. There's a freemium, so you can go on for free, check it out. And again,
So do you
because
use
we're
a
an
hybrid
enterprise,
system? So is it kind of like
you can
a
use
hybrid system?
well, no, it allows you to be able to produce applications using both formats of blockchain, the
Okay.
major formats of blockchain.
Yeah, the pager formats, yes.
Yeah, the two major ones, that being Ethereum and Hyperledger Fabric, permissioned and open. So
Hmm.
yeah, so man, you can use the two. Like we had a great hackathon just this spring where students and users were combining within Astracode. They didn't know how to code in either, but they were able to combine a
Okay.
Hyperledger Fabric with a Solidity smart contract and really created this cool application. But then again, you got to be a developer and you got to connect to the other parts. And so, that's where we can help too, is because we have this, parent company that is a large organization of developers working for, enterprise companies in Europe.
Yeah, going on, adding on to that, it kind of based off that answer, it kind of shows that blockchain is really integrating with other technologies, especially when we
Mhm.
in the current day. So, what are the potential challenges you see with these integrations with technology such as AI, quantum computing, or even the IoT, Internet of Things? Anything on those technologies,
Yeah, I,
blockchain really would
I,
have a big impact on it. And
mhm.
of course, with those, I think with those technologies, though, what we're seeing with them is different from blockchain. Blockchain, as you did say back maybe 10 years ago, it's kind of at a similar trend as it is now. But the thing with AI, IoT, and quantum computing, it's growing at an exponential pace. So I think there will be a time where blockchain does get to that point. And as you said, what you try to do at Astracode is you try to build upon companies to actually utilize their own blockchain for platforms. And then eventually, if one becomes very successful, other companies will want to adapt to it. So yeah, back to the question itself. Yeah, what are the challenges you kind of see blockchain with the other technologies
Yeah.
I mentioned?
Well, I can speak to sort of Web 2 and I can speak to AI.
Yeah.
Quantum is another leap for me, no pun intended. So I won't be talking about that. But where I see, like we said back with that analogy around websites, blockchain applications will likely need to be made quickly and routinely, depending on the situation. I think because of um, the transactional nature of them, they may need to be made. You may need to create several blockchain applications as a company that has several customers. They may want to create,
Yes.
for example, several permission blockchains with their individual companies rather than try to create one that's super complex. So that's where Astrakode can help for sure. We can help you iterate faster, for sure. I think around documents, example, those will likely
Yes.
have to be individually made. And again, when you have a platform where you can go repeat, rinse and repeat, click, up comes the application, and then you can attach it to whatever you're doing. Um, Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's certainly something that where ASCO can help out immediately, for sure. And again, we're trying to create this in a situation where you don't have to learn the coding. I think coding,
Mm-hmm.
in the next 5 to 10 years will not be completely gone, but it's going to be left to a specific set of group of developers that have deep understanding. They're not going to be these guys like you and I that learn Python for 3, 4 years and then just kind of pick it up. Forget about that. Now we're going to be able to
Yeah.
converse with these kinds of things. So that's one thing that I
Especially
think we're thinking
with
about.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, go ahead.
especially with AI. No, yes, especially with AI when I
Yeah,
said going at an exponential pace. And then
yeah.
now basically what we're having with these people that know how to code is that they're doing this deep learning with AI. AI is learning
Hmm.
code upon code upon code. And then eventually
Right.
so yeah, so you're right now you're talking to the AI side, right? You're talking
Well,
okay,
both,
you can talk
like both. I think that AI will be used to create blockchain applications quickly.
yes.
Generative AI can use that. You already have apps out there that can code in Solidity using generative AI. I didn't know
Yes,
that.
yes.
Both Hyperledger and that. So that's one thing you got to think about. But also, blockchain can around privacy of data, you know, and around transacting with other people on research or information and sharing of information, blockchain and AI will be very integral. And so, for example, what you can see around federated databases, this is the new sort of format for databases because centralized cloud databases, as we saw with Ticketmaster hack, there's a serious issue there. So blockchain is going to be needed around that so that we can transact with other databases. So
Mhm.
that's where I see AI. And So, for example, if you have a clinical trial and you want to be able to interact with offices around the world to move this research on a drug forward. Back in the day, you try and create a large centralized database where people's patient data would be all over the world. It would be all in this one
Yes.
centralized place. That's gone. They won't allow that anymore. It's not likely to occur unless you're not even the large pharmaceutical firms are doing this because countries are getting scared of that. So it's federated databases and transacting and interacting with these kinds of things. So, for example, you have an AI model that you want to analyze this data in Holland. You send the model through blockchain securely
Course.
to the data set. It does the analysis and it sends the results back using blockchain. So we're that place when it's on the internet, that transaction, it's hashed, it's secure,
Hmm.
right? And it's transacted across securely, quickly. And then you get the results that you need as the researcher, and the patient's data is never leaves uh, a secure place. That
Yes, it won't
and
it
so
won't it won't be lost in the web in this sense.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Everything will
So
be
when you go
secure. So
back on the
there's no
web,
and there's
exactly,
also no changes. There's also no changes. So it would be harder for, let's say,
exactly,
hackers to get into the database, right?
right. Right. There's no, yeah. And so there's also that whole aspect again, where you can, like I'm still very, very, very new to blockchain, but and the secure aspect is something that's really hard to translate to people, because they just, I'm trying to do this myself. So, and I'm getting all the same questions back, but there's a reason, there's trillions of dollars of Bitcoin being, and it's only been hacked a few
Obviously,
times.
yes.
Yeah, so there's something about this technology where the security spread across the users like that, that makes it really, really hard. Now, quantum computing may change that, but blockchain can use quantum computing too. So, you know, they can fight quantum with quantum. I don't know, but that's the future I'm seeing. Like in around certainly creating blockchain applications quickly so that you can transact with the company, and then
Yes.
also AI and blockchain. I think these are near term future where AI
Think
and
about
blockchain are
how it
utilized
would
together.
revolutionize. Yeah, think about how it would revolutionize like certain industries, healthcare especially. And then of course
Yeah.
you have crypto already. And then but one thing I believe it actually will help was obviously cybersecurity. Cybersecurity
Yeah.
is a big field that yes, it's getting better, and especially when we're utilizing AI, and then there's more solutions to this cybersecurity. But with blockchain, you'll not only have a secure database, but you also will have a decentralized. So it's not everything coming from one in, intermediary
Yeah, but
thing on the
and my
internet.
understanding is that because not everything's coming from one, means that you have to hack into everyone. You know what I mean? For
Yes.
you as a hacker to, right? And this is something I'm slowly learning the complexity around the channels, the networks, all these kinds,
Yeah,
and
the networks and the nodes.
the vernacular um, of blockchain is unique and it's not related to AI, so it's a big learning curve for me. But I am seeing like after Ticketmaster, like there should definitely be some sort of blockchain involved with regards to ticketing and at Ticketmaster, and maybe that can be our event that we're looking for. That to say, hey, Ticketmaster's moved to blockchain to improve their security in the transactions with individual ticket people, and it can do it at hundreds of thousands of people, at a time. So this is the kind of application we need. Blockchain community needs to go to the next step.
So actually, and now that you mentioned that, and we may not have an answer for this right now because as you like, we're both blockchain is fairly new and it is emerging, but I would try to ask like what's really missing? Because if there's this obstacle that
Mhm.
blockchain kind of has to go through in order for it to become become growing at an exponential rate, what's really missing in the technology itself or something we can implement into it
I do want to
that could
blame the
really mitigate to
community
the
a
next
little bit.
level?
I do want to blame the community a little bit. As someone who's come outside of blockchain and into blockchain, the community itself is not, it is by nature a not a conservative, but uh, a closed. It's just it's closed first. It's you know it it
They're not
thinks of
trying to get the
itself as
word out
dynamic.
there, right?
Well, they're not necessarily not trying to get the word out there. It's just how they're doing it. They're not, they're using language that is extremely esoteric, and they're not connecting to business. I think there might be because the community is very anti-corporate, but they're not connecting to business, and they're not
Okay.
showing the business value associated with the software for a company, and then very, very, very well at all. And even with my home parent company, it's really imperative that we translate how blockchain can help a business problem. And
Yes.
just even talking about this with the blockchain community gets them all pissed off. Their shoulders get all tense, and they're like, "Wow." So I do blame the community a little bit. The focus on crypto is another. That's a black mark, unfortunately, on it. That has been gonna take some time to erase and move on from. But we also, and then there's the lazy, I've noticed this with AI, and people were extremely, it took generative AI for, companies to say, oh, to get a sense of urgency within companies. Because I
Hmm.
worked I was working in healthcare in 2009, 2006, trying to get healthcare to utilize AI. And it was really hard. And I moved on from that because it was so difficult. And even in moving into places like banking,
Yes.
billions of dollars they can invest in security and in AML and fraud. They're only now adopting, and again, because
Yes.
it's that sense of urgency that was created by ChatGPT and generative AI in general, that leap, and so we need that same sort of activation leap in blockchain. I'm not sure whether that will come, certainly using AI, but I also think, like you said, cybersecurity is probably where your thing, and just people don't understand how much money you can make. Like if you can transact with someone utilizing crypto and blockchain together
Yes.
and avoid the banks, avoid the fees, all this, we can find a way to do that. Like, I met these one guys from Latin America that they're creating a Western Union type application without using the banks. It's just using stable coin, and it's focused
Really?
on just Guatemala at the moment in time. It's called Osmo. And, these guys are just taking 4.7 million people who live in Guatemala or Guatemalan heritage in the United States, wanting to send money to their abuela. Right now, they have to use Western
Yeah.
Union or, ding a ding ding, and they're charged through the yin yang. You can utilize stablecoin, trade on stablecoin, wait for it to clear. Abuela gets her money in Guatemalan pesos. Sorry, I don't know their monetary, what money they use, but it goes to their
I think
peso.
it's peso,
And
yes.
yeah, and then there you go.
Wow.
That's an example of where you're utilizing blockchain, and you can make hundreds on like points on the transaction on 4.7 million transactions happening a year.
So actually it's
So
good.
these are the kinds of things that just people just don't get. They're like, "Oh, I use the bank. I've been using it for 30 years." A leasing company, for example, like a guy leasing construction, like why is he using lines of credit and stuff like that? So when you can just utilize the bank solely just to hold the money and get short-term interest on it, you
Yes.
know what I mean? So like, yeah, so it's these kinds of things that when they see the amount of zeros they can add to the value of their company, maybe they'll take a chance and try and develop an application like that. But right, what's likely going to happen is somebody's going to come along, and then you're just going to have to pay for that service
Obviously, yes.
part. You know what I mean? So uh, you're going to
So
miss out.
now, yeah, so now that you're mentioning the Guatemala startup, I believe, and how banks are now starting to adapt. So I actually did read upon an article like about a couple of days ago. I believe only in the bank in the West right now is JP Morgan in USA. They're starting implementing a blockchain system. So with
Mhm.
banks might be implementing their own sort of blockchain platform. I don't know how that can work, but I think it does relate to what you say with the fact that once one person does it, then more people will just
Well,
tag along. And another
yeah,
way
and
is, yeah,
yeah.
there will be a more secure way to send or just to do their transactions, right? However, the
Mhm.
biggest thing you did call from this is kind of a political standpoint. The community and the government regulations don't really support blockchain as of now because it isn't at the stage that really AI and all the other technologies are. And we did talk about what was missing. So, but back to that Guatemala startup. So when we
Mhm.
see how government regulation will play into the future of blockchain, and it does that to any technology, but what potential do you see blockchain to like bridge the gap between developed and developing countries?
Oh, that's huge.
Exactly.
Microcredit, actually, Astrakode has had a lot of success creating microcredit in India. We've had three projects there. And yeah, you can see how the ability to avoid, to decrease your transaction costs that's because you're dealing with a large
Yes.
amount of transactions in microcredit, where of which, close to 50% are lost. You kind of have to build that in. So reducing your cost of transactions help out with that.
Obviously, yes.
Um, Yeah, and then also you got the indemnable aspect of things, which is really important. So you can go after these credit people and at least recover some of your funds from the bank's perspective. People can't just run off with your money anymore. But also you can vet people better utilizing blockchain. If their information is out there, and they give you permission, again, digital asset
Hmm.
custody, to look at their data, and then you can review this person, give them a credit score quickly, and then give them the money. Okay, yeah, we can invest in this person.
Yeah, I think if essentially what we're
So
actually looking at here is
yeah.
a worldwide a worldwide, not bank,
Mhm.
obviously, but it's like a
Yeah,
worldwide, just transactions. Just you can
yeah,
it's and it's
yeah, exactly.
simpler and it's more secure. Everyone be able to
Yeah.
see what's happening. It's not
And from a
necessarily
charity's
the
perspective, they don't have, from a charity's perspective, they can utilize Bitcoin or they can utilize crypto
obviously, yeah.
stable coins, rather
This will
than
affect
having to
any
worry about a
industry.
bank. And again, reduce because in the case of a charity, they're giving the money away. And so you can give this money away quickly, securely. You can vet these people, all that, and then your money's gone, and you reduce your costs. You're not involving a bank or middleman. You're not involving Stripe or anything like that, or all these other
Mhm.
payment agencies. You can utilize your own app. You know, Maybe there'll be a middleman like Ethereum underneath somewhere. Certainly,
Well,
Bitcoin and
this
Ethereum would
this
like
will
that.
probably take a lot longer than we think it can. It could there will like
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of affecting the industries, like that can happen in the near future. However, yeah, in terms of the entire bridge between the developed and developing nations, that's
Hmm.
a bigger
Well, there are
hurdle that
people
might
on
be
the
have to
internet.
be
There are
there.
like I have a good friend who she left her professor position at McMaster, or to join a
Hmm.
Bitcoin company that helps people empower. Like that's her focus, is utilizing Bitcoin
Wow.
to help impoverished people. So that's an example for sure. It's out there. People are living, dreaming that, and believing in that, and probably already helping people out. So it's happening. I just don't think it's happening within the scale that we see or we want, from the global perspective. And but it's happening out there for sure. And I know that the WHO and these guys are all evaluating it for those reasons.
Okay, yeah, so we're kind of running on time here, but I kind of have just one
Mhm.
final question. And after that you can ask me any question you'd like. Just the one final thing. This is more of a personal question. If you were to meet yourself probably 5 to 10 years ago, what would be the biggest lesson or biggest advice you would give them? Or you give the yourself now,
Well,
you give them for yourself. Just maybe you can
five,
summarize
ten
it.
years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah. And especially if you were
definitely would have
talking about
been.
a
I would definitely
blockchain.
be telling them to be a bit more bullish on Bitcoin for sure and cryptocurrency and
Yeah.
invest in it earlier than I did for sure. But also just confidence, all these other things around, just believing in yourself and all these kinds of, that's really important. Um, Beyond all this tech, what's going to happen, all this is believe in yourself and the ability for you to learn, be
Mhm.
creative, and, connect with people and utilize that to its fullest extent. I did not have that reality and like I do now, on the emotional and part for me anyway. But in terms of tech, for sure, I would have definitely told them to do NVIDIA and Bitcoin
Oh,
for
wow.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Another thing I'd tell them to go hard on would be hydrogen. I do think that that's a technology that it's going to happen. It has to happen. Like we can't, you know what I mean? Like for us to save the planet. Um, yeah, those would be the things I tell them about, and to just be
Okay,
confident
that's
and believe in
interesting.
yourself, and be, you're going to be able to overcome challenges. All these kinds of things that I think every person needs. You know, yeah, regardless of their age, creed, race. Everyone needs to believe in
Yes.
themselves a little bit and believe in their and have confidence because it's sucked out of us in so many different ways.
Wise words from Mark Morreale. So actually, yeah, so now you can ask me any questions if you'd like.
Yeah. Well, as a developer, I want to be able, what's the best way to connect with you guys? Like, how do you, like a guy who's a blockchain enthusiast, how do we connect? How does Astrakode connect with you as a user of blockchain and an enthusiast?
So actually, to answer that question, where you could probably be more blockchain enthusiasts and just find developers, the best way to do was really like conferences. Go to these tech
Hmm.
conferences. You'll find number
Yeah,
one, people that will actually care for it and people that would actually like to build upon what you are building upon. You'll find a lot of people there too. That's how you met me. That's how I met you.
that's for
The
sure. That's how I
conferences are
met
one
you,
thing.
for sure, Harris.
And and the fact is, you also could think what would a young person who's a developer trying to do, right? So you can probably go
Do you like
to
hackathons,
different.
Harris? Do you think
Do
that's
you like
another
hack?
good place to go?
Exactly, yeah, hackathons would be great. You could even try you can even try going on like these LinkedIn communities or these small or community. You can try to find communities that where
Hmm.
are building cool things, right?
Hmm.
So that's all I can really answer that question.
Yeah, as we thought of Discord, but that's
I was gonna
definitely a
say
rabbit hole.
Discord, but
Telegram and
I wasn't
Discord,
sure
those
if
are
your
those are
gen
rabbit holes. But yeah.
I was thinking Discord too, but then I was thinking maybe your generation was not or not big
Come
fans of
on,
Discord.
dude. Please.
I'm
You
sorry
can't,
about that.
you youngsters, we're agile, it's different from old people when you were young,
Well,
Harris.
well, actually,
Yeah,
yes, because you,
we got to keep
unfortunately,
working.
no, because
Hmm.
not even that. With the world growing at an exponential pace, and especially with technology, people
Hmm.
your age will have to upskill themselves,
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I'm
and
learning that
I
now. No, I'm
respect that.
learning that
I
big time.
respect that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely learning that. That's
So
why I
are
tried out
those
blockchain in the first place.
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So are those all the questions
Yeah.
you had?
Yeah,
All right.
just
So
the other thing, connect with me on LinkedIn, Mark Morreale. There's my name, my spelling there.
I'll put it in the
Astracode.tech is our
description.
website. You as a blockchain developer, whoever's listening, student, Waterloo, wherever, if you have a freemium, we have an academic freemium as well that you can apply to. So you can check out the platform. It's really cool.
Hey, don't worry, I'll put it in the description so people will probably
Great.
see well what you
Okay,
do and
thanks. Yeah, and I
what
can
I've
get you
done.
the
And
academic brochure too if you want, Harris. So we can do that.
okay, that's good. So okay,
All
yeah,
right.
without further ado, Mark Morreale, it's great to have you on. Any closing remarks apart from what you just said?
Yeah. Have a great day, guys. And we'll hope to see and connect with you guys in the future.
All right, everyone, this is the All Facts Podcast. Thank you from Mark once again for being on, and we're out.